time to return to a game we've talked about like 2 prior times now at this point.
Yep.
2.
Dose.
Duh.
D.
Knee. How many other ways can you say 2?
There are probably lots of ways, but I don't know them.
That's true. There are a lot of languages out there. If you are unaware of that. Hello. Welcome to this week's episode of the Seasonal Anime Checkup OVA. It's a podcast about stuff. I got very distracted by something there for a hot second.
Oh no.
Podcast where we have conversations about video games, anime, and manga. I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc Al and Ladium.
Hello.
This is episode 206. It's all that episodes. 206. Blank. We're talking about a story of a game today, of an ongoing game that has wrapped up its first season in the global version. So we're going to talk about the rest of the story of Love Live School Idol Festival All-Stars. Because we briefly talked about it when we talked about the Japanese release and also the global release, where we were both able to kind of talk more about it. So we're going to kind of gloss over those first 7 chapters, which is mostly just like, hey, here's all the characters. They're forming a club. Yay.
Getting to know them.
Basically, yeah. It's very much just getting to know ya. Sort of dealio.
You were venturing into goofy territory with your voice there for a second.
Gosh. We'll talk about school idols. Yup.
I was gonna try it and say something about Gorsh Casamine, but I can't make that voice.
Gorsh Casamine. It's a lot harder to do. So yeah, we're gonna talk about season 1. It is chapters 8 through 17. We might get into a little bit about what comes out afterwards.
The future,
because I know what
Zura.
happens in the future.
I know too.
Yes. Japanese School Idol Festival All-Stars just, I think, launched chapter 22, so we're 5 chapters behind, which makes sense since we're 5 months content-wise behind, considering that's how long it took for the game to come out over here.
Yeah.
But regardless, let's talk about this here story and all the wild shenanigans that are going to happen throughout all these chapters. So, like we said, chapters 1 through 7, it's kind of getting to know the new characters and everything, reminiscing with the older characters, and then eventually, the Nijigasaki Idol Club comes to existence and everything's all hunky-dory, right?
Of course it is.
Wink.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
So some of the first couple chapters after this as well, kind of they have some plot points, but also it's kind of just stuff just happens and it's kind of inconsequential for the most part. Really, the latter half of these chapters is where the real meat and potatoes is, in terms of real story contents actually happening, and things are just hopping off right and left.
The dramas.
The drama is really happening. So chapter 8 basically kind of kicks off, and the members of Aqua, Muse, and Nijigasaki are all let's make a joint show together. Yay, that sounds fun. They eventually find out about the School Idol Festival, which was this big festival for school idols that had previously occurred, but is not happening this year.
That's the name of the game.
It is also the name of the game. You were right. So they look into why it's not happening and everything. At first they're oh, maybe it's because the Olympics are happening this year. Which obviously this portion of the story was written last year.
Yeah.
Before everything kind of came to a head.
Apocalyptic.
Yeah, so obviously it probably would have been canceled because of other reasons besides the Olympics, but obviously, the Olympics were supposed to happen this year, but it got moved obviously because of the pandemic. But that is a reason why a big festival like this would get bumped.
Yes.
Is because obviously the country is going to need a lot of infrastructure for the Olympics.
Yep.
They're a big thing if you are unaware of that.
Some people care about it.
They're cool.
Are they?
Eh.
Eh.
So they find that out, and they're like, or they find that's the reason why it's not being canceled. And they're like, well, we gotta figure out what's really happening, and they still want to move forward with like trying to figure out what exactly is going on and everything. You during this chapter you get like everyone splitting off into like various little subsections of groups and everything, where like you get Riko, Yo, Kotori, Umi, Ayumu, and Kasumi having this chit chat about their respective leaders. Ruby, Hanayo, Nico, Setsuna, and Emma have a big competition between themselves while Daya and Kanata judge it. They're at like a karaoke parlor. Ren, Nozomi, Hanamaru, Yoshiko, Ai, and Rina go to Harajuku because that's the hip place to go. And then the rest of the girls go bowling, which is like, I think, like Ellie's there because there's like a specific image of her bowling.
Yeah,
And then like some other characters are there. Yeah. So she goes and bowls
Bowls.
with the others. Yu hangs out with Hanukkah and Chika. They spend the night at her place, and then at one point they're like, "Well, we need to figure out exactly why this festival got canceled and everything." So they try to find the organizer from it, but like no one knows how to contact this person because they kind of just like up and disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually they find like this blog of hers and contact her and be like, "Hey, we want to do this. Like, is there any way you could help us? Like, kind of give us some advice or anything of what to do?" So Yu gets a message the next day. We're also just going to refer to the main character as Yu because of the anime and everything.
Yep.
Because it's basically the same character. They get a message, and basically it's from the festival or the original organizer, whose name is Kaoruko, and she's like, I can't really help you guys right now. I got some other stuff going on, but like, I'll be cheering you guys on if you guys decide to go through with this. Yay. And then they're all like, yay, let's do this. Also, this is the debut of Shioriko, who shows up and is like, hey, I'm going to be the student council president.
Everybody goes,
Eh?
Because we already have a student council president.
We do. Who's also an idol.
Yep.
Who would ever do that?
What?
So chapter 9 basically kind of continues off of this. The rest of the Niji girls try and figure out more about Shioriko, and they're like, oh, she's well off with her family, or family's well off mostly.
Yeah.
She's very well behaved. She's very smart, and academically gifted, and all this sort of stuff. But also, she just wants to get rid of the school idol club because she thinks it's useless, and they don't like that.
Yeah, she has issues in terms of like, she wants people to live up to their like utmost potential, and so she's like, yeah, like if you're not good at this thing, you should be in this other club then.
Yeah. The rest of the girls are, going to help Setsuna with her re-election campaign and everything. Yu gets to be the head of the committee of all that because, she's the club president and all that sort of stuff. Setsuna has a lot of worries about this re-election and everything. She goes and finds Ellie and Daya and like seeks out advice from them about being student council president, all that sort of stuff. At the same time, Shioriko kind of like goes full force of like her campaign of just being like, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to help students, and like you said, find like the thing that they should be doing, not necessarily what they want to be doing, and just make the school better and a better overall experience for when you're attending the school and everything.
Yeah.
They have a public debate because of course, and Shioriko just basically just destroys Setsuna.
Yeah,
like,
Setsuna's super nervous. Doesn't know what to
Shioriko's
say.
like, here's my goals and everything. Also, like, you're just bad at this. She tells her words have zero, like, no power or anything, and Setsuna's like, So Setsuna really starts to like, feel the brunt of this and everything. Starts to really just like freak out. She's like, do I really want to be the student council president and everything? I guess if I really want to go full into this, I should quit the club. So she quits the club. And everyone's like, what?
God, we just had everybody back.
So she basically like, there's like a very small time frame between when all this is happening. So like she quits the club and everything to focus solely on the campaign and everything. But even then, it's still not enough as Shioriko is elected the new student council president.
Yep.
Setsuna is obviously feeling very dejected about everything. She goes to the roof to kind of just like be by herself, and the rest of the club members come up and are like, oh, we want to make sure you're okay and everything, and just see how you're doing and everything. And Setsuna's like, I I don't really feel like you should be doing that. Like, I'd quit on you guys. Like, you shouldn't be doing this for me. And they're like, nah, it's cool, dog. We're with you to the end.
Dude, bro energy.
Yeah. So like you basically tells her kind of like, you want to be a school idol, like that's what you've always wanted to be. So like you need to like
just do that.
Just do that essentially. Like don't lie to yourself and tell yourself like you want to do something else. Like this is really what you want to do, and we can tell that's what you really want to do. And then Kasumi is like, oh, do you think having Shioriko as the student council president is going to stop us from doing the club? Like you tried to stop me from restarting the club, and look how that worked. Like it's not going to work. Like we're going to be able to counteract what she's doing. They welcome Setsuna back into the club, obviously, and then Shioriko basically goes into the club room. Is like, yeah, I'm abolishing this club still. By the way.
Yeah, still don't like this club.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I have the power, I can do this.
I can do it. Chapter 10, we kick things off where Shioriko gives her ultimatum for the School Idol Club, where she's like, all right, I'll give you guys a chance because I think you're wasting your time here, wasting all your potential. If every single member of the club can attain a score on the midterms that is above a 60%, I'll let things go for now. So they're like, oh god, I don't know if we can do this. Some of us are dumb. So eventually they get like little pockets of people tutoring each other and everything. They get the girls from Aqua and Niji and Buse as well to show up to help tutor some folks as well. You're giving me edits here, and I do not know what to say.
I'm pretty sure it's Kanon. That's getting.
I don't remember. It's one of the K names. I wanted to say it was Kanata.
Okay.
Because I think it was before the other girls show up.
Okay, because at one point Kanon has to get.
Yes, she's in the dumb group.
Yeah, she's in the dumb group, which I didn't actually expect that. I don't know why, but I just didn't expect that. But also I love so much that I is just like brilliant.
Yeah, that's the thing they learn later on. Everyone's like, oh my god, you got really good grades. And she's like, yeah, of course I did. Like, I'm good at studying and doing all that sort of stuff. Like, what do you mean?
I'm smart.
And they're like, oh, that makes sense why you were so hard on us. She's like, So yeah, like I and Rina take up teaching like science and math to some of the girls, and the other girls show up, and we get like Hanamaru, Ruby, and Shizuku teaching Japanese. We have Ellie, Umi, and Daya teaching I think they teach the dumb kids.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Which is Kasumi, Karen, Honoka, Nico, and Kanon, and they have this competition between each other of like
dumb kids.
All right, whoever gets the lowest score gets to be the queen dunce. And they're like, oh god, we gotta do this. Which like it makes sense, like because Kasumi is Kasumi, she's a gremlin.
Yep.
Karen is like an airhead.
Yep.
Honoka is just a dummy.
Yeah.
Nico's Nico.
Yep.
And then like you said, I think Kanon's like the more surprising one, but also I feel like it makes sense because like she would be more like interested in being like, oh, I want to work at the diving shop or do diving stuff, and
why do I need to study?
Not do stuff with school.
Yeah, it makes total sense. I mean, like Nico's kind of the same way. Like, well, I just want to do idol stuff. Why do I need to study?
Yeah, and then Honoka's just a
big dumb energy.
Yes. This is just very canon.
Yep.
You and IMU eventually do some studying together because IMU is like, oh, it's just like the old times, and like all the girls are like texting you. And, like, I think Kasumi texts her like, hey, can you help me with this? And then like Arena texts her and like, hey, can you help me with this? And then like Ellie's like, oh, here's the words of encouragement for tomorrow. And IMU's like, you're getting all these texts from everyone else. I don't like this. You're gonna fail because of this. And you're like, oh my god, sorry. We'll study. I hit my desk there.
Oh no!
They have exams. The exams happen. Everyone's just like, oh god. They eventually get all their test scores back. Everyone passed.
Yay!
No one scored under 60. Some of them were close, but everyone was fine. Everything went well. Shioriko shows up and is like, all right, let me see your exams and everything. And they're like, yeah, we got everything over 60. She's like, all right, you passed this time, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to try and shut this club down or anything.
I'll get you one day, you kids.
Chapter 11 is more of them kind of trying to figure out the
School Idol Festival.
The School Idol Festival. So they have like a committee club that they hold in Numazu, where it's like you, Hanukkah, Chika, Karen, Kanata. Some of the girls at least. I know like the main like leaders kind of end up there, and then like some of the other ancillary members of each group are also there, but also there's some of them are just not there as well. The Niji first years go out and hang out in Tokyo because they didn't go to the committee club meeting, so there's like, we're just gonna go hang out and have fun. They eventually run into Ren, Hanayo, and Nico, and they're like, what are they doing? We should follow them and see what they're up to. Which I'll give you two guesses of whose idea that was.
You don't even need two guesses.
So the committee camp is tasked with, like kind of coming up with plans and everything. They also are like, we need a slogan for the festival, and that kind of becomes a big like stumping point for them. Really like, I don't know what to make a cool slogan.
What's our theme?
What do we do here? The first years eventually find Nico, Ren, and Hanayo at an idol show. And they're like, I guess that would make sense. They do really like idols. Like obviously Nico and Hanayo.
Yeah.
Would definitely be there. And then the Niji first year's like, let's just watch this idol show too.
I can say from experience, coming up with themes and stuff, very, very hard for conferences and events. Very hard. I struggle every single year. I've only done it 2 years. I've struggled every single year.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's not an easy thing to come up with something that, fits the tone and everything and gets across exactly what you want.
You want it to be specifically broad. And that's kind of what they have to come up with here. And they're like,
Specifically broad, but also like simple.
Yes.
And those are two not really like things that mesh.
Nope.
So Nico eventually leaves the first year she's with and goes off to somewhere else, and the Niji first year's like, let's keep following her, see where she's going. Eventually she's at this like children's center and like helping out with kids and stuff.
Kids.
I want to say she's picking up her siblings there, maybe. Like, that would make sense. But they also find Shiriko there, and she's like helping out with the kids and everything, looking like happy at everything. And they're like, this is not a side of her that I was expecting to see. This
isn't the person who comes in and threatens to shut us down every day.
What are you doing? What is this? I don't know. I'm confused about this.
Maybe she isn't entirely a villain.
True. The committee camp finally comes up with a slogan.
Yay.
Which they come up with, come together, dream together.
Woo.
That is their slogan that they're going to show everyone. They also discuss like what they did, or at least like the other girls did. And they're like, the first year's like, we went to Tokyo. We went to that anime shop you were talking about, Setsuna, and we found that book you were telling us about. And Setsuna's like, oh my god, you want to talk about it? I really would like to talk to you about this. Let me tell you about all this stuff that happened. And Kasumi's like, oh god.
You got her started.
Too much. Too much. And then they also talk about how they ran into Shiriko and how they're very confused by that, and Yu's just like, maybe there's more to her than meets the eye. Like she's a transformer. More than meets the eye. That's how that works.
Oh, man. Imagine Optimus Prime as a school idol.
I like it.
I like it.
I like it.
I like it. I like it. I love it.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chapter 12. So they have come up with their slogan. They have to figure out now how to like actually put together and run a festival, which is like a lot of work that they were not anticipating.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh god, how do we need this? We need to do like all this sort of stuff and this sort of stuff. We have to have like food stalls and like people like security and like people to help usher people around. And oh god, it's a lot. They put their slogan up on the website that they've got up for the festival and everything, and they get back a bunch of like responses of like people like, huh? I don't understand. And they're like, oh, I guess we didn't convey this to everyone in a way that makes sense. What if we just make a PV to kind of like let people better, like give people a better explanation of what we mean by our slogan, and how it ties to school idols, how it ties to the festival and everything, how it ties back to us and all that sort of stuff.
Which is interesting because like come together, dream together seems relatively self-explanatory to me.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it can be. It could be seen as kind of vague. That it may just be like, hmm, I don't know. Like if you just saw that plastered on something, like without any context, you might be confused by it.
That's true. Yeah.
So, they decide that they need to come up with a song for it, and they ask like they get the songwriters, the composers together, like which one of you wants to do it? And Rico's like, I've got a song that I've been working on that I might work for this. And everyone's like, oh, good job, work on that.
Yay.
We'll come back and get this PV worked out. They head back to Niji, and in the club room, Kasumi makes a mention that like, oh, Shiriko's been having problems as the president because like she had all those lofty goals of like wanting to put students into the right clubs that would benefit them the most, and that's coming into conflict with like the heads of all the clubs because they're like, well, we want people to just join whatever club they want. We don't want like our people just being like pigeoned and being like, whoop, and you're going over here and you're going over here and all that sort of stuff like that. That's not really what we want. So
Well,
she's
especially like a club that's so dedicated to, or a school that's so dedicated to clubs, and like students go to this school just for the clubs. Like, if you're shuffling them out of a club that they came to the school for, like they're gonna be a little resentful about that.
yeah. So like she's starting to butt heads with a lot of the heads of the clubs and everything, and that's starting to like show on her. Setsuna starts to show like concern from her because she's like, yeah, I know how like rough it is being student council president. Like I know how much hard work it is and everything. So like I know like what she's going through, and everyone's like, oh, you're feeling sorry for her and everything.
She ran you out of your job.
And Setsuna's like, you basically is like, should probably try and help her at some point. Like that seems like a nice thing to do.
I help everybody. That's what I
Yeah.
do as the protagonist.
It's true. Riko finishes up her song. Everyone goes to Namazu to hear it and everything. And they hang out there for a little bit. They all get inspired by Aqua doing their early morning practice, and they're like, oh, we can't let them beat us now. Look how dedicated they are. They're real cool. It's like, yeah, they are.
Yep. Super cool.
They head back to Niji. Everyone finds Yu's notebook, which she uses jots down notes of everyone's practices and everything, like what she's observing in their practice, like what they can improve upon, all sorts of stuff. And they'll like see that and like, oh my gosh, Yu's putting in so much detail for us. She's paid attention so much to us. Like this is amazing. Also like helps them be like, oh man, we feel more inspired now to be able to stand on stage next to Aqua and Muse. Yay.
Time to be next to the moose.
They finish up the PV. They upload it to the website and everything. They work hard on it throughout the night, and then eventually publish it and everything. As soon as it gets published, they're able to see comments of people being like, "Oh,
Now I get it.
I got what you mean."
I get what you're throwing down.
Some of the club members also like talk about how like other students are coming up to them and being like, oh, I'm real excited for the festival and everything. Like if there's anything we could help with, I would be okay. I'd be down to do that. So there's a lot more talk about that and everything. But also at the end we see like Shiriko in her office, and she is like getting more and more frustrated that like her plan isn't being conveyed to everyone. She doesn't understand why everyone doesn't understand what she wants them to do. And then she also like talks about like, oh well, they want to have like all these lofty dreams and everything, but dreams just don't come true. Like that's just not a thing that happens.
This is what's the word I'm looking for?
Angst.
Yes, but it's a good contrast of the school idol festival gals realizing like, oh, we have to get people to understand what we're trying to throw down here. And like part of that specifically has to do with dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And Shuriko is just like, bah, no one gets me.
It's also like a dynamic or contrast and dynamic between like the festival girls want to show off like what they want to people in this way, while Shiriko's doing it in this opposite way, which is then they're both having these different effects on people.
Correct.
Big yawn.
Sorry. I did get the word out though.
You did. Chapter 13.
13.
There's going to be like a big like open house coming forth in Nijigasaki, where like a bunch of like prospective students come. There's a big thing where all the clubs give like an introduction to the club and everything, so people know exactly what to expect when they come here. And that is the kind of like the big point of contention between Shioriko and the clubs, is like this introduction panel is basically Shioriko is like trying to instill like what she wants all the clubs to do, and all the clubs are like, no, we want to do it our way. We don't want to do it your way. And they keep just butting heads about this. Also, the girls of Niji, the Niji Idol Club, they find out about this, and they're like, oh, we want to perform to get the word out about our club and everything, and we think that would be a good opportunity for this and everything. They have to obviously go to Shioriko to get approval for it, and then Shioriko, or they go to like a meeting with all the club heads and everything, and it is Ayumu and Setsuna who go and use place, because used like helping everyone practice and all that sort of stuff.
But also they can't show you because there's no art for you in the game.
True. But they see like firsthand of like how bad like these meetings are going.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh boy. And
Setsuna's like, I don't think it was this bad when I was doing this.
Yeah. So they realize like this is all going very poorly. Shioriko like heads to the roof and just tries to like, is like wistfully looking down on the school grounds. It's like
surveying her kingdom.
Well, she's more just like, oh god, I don't know. I'm like at a crossroads now, because I don't know what to do. Like I don't know how to get these people to understand what I'm trying to portray to them. Like they just do not understand it. And then the rest of the idol girls come up and meet her on the club room, and they're like, are you doing okay? And at first she's kind of like, no, I'm fine. Maybe you can answer me a question here. Give me a little bit of advice. So she like asks them like, okay, like this is what's been going on. Like, what would you do in my spot and everything? And they're like, what do you mean? Like your demands seem kind of unreasonable here and everything. Like that's kind of why everyone's all like up in arms about this and everything. And she also asks them kind of like how are you guys okay doing something that's just useless? Like this is meaningless. That's not going to help you in terms of like, your academics, your future and everything. They're like, what do you mean? But she basically kind of puts over her idea of like, I want to make this school better as an environment for everyone. I want students to come here and like get the most out of what they want from here. Like I want them to really like see their potential fulfilled here. But the rest of the girls are kind of just like, yeah, we get what you're talking about here, but the way you're conveying it to everyone, it's not good. Like there's a reason why everyone's so mad at you, is because like you're just kind of demanding them to do it this way, and you're not even like accepting any compromises or negotiations from them. It's just your way or the highway. So you kind of like comes up with this idea of like, all right, we're going to help you. We're going to come together and help you. And we're going to have you see exactly what goes on in a club.
Yeah.
Maybe that will kind of get you understanding like why all the other clubs are acting the way they are. Also, they tell like Shioriko's like, yeah, if I can't figure this out, we're just going to cancel the whole event. And everyone's like, but our performance. So essentially, you becomes this like liaison between the clubs and Shioriko. She's like the in between person. She's gonna like see what's happening over here, what's everyone's mindset on this side, and then what's happening on this side on everyone's mindset on the other side, essentially. So everyone agrees to that, and we're all hunky-dory for now. So because of the agreement that came with, Shioriko comes and does practice with them. And she goes through like the whole rig and mortar of it. Like she does dancing and everything. They do warm-ups and all that sort of stuff. She gets like advice from the other girls, like, oh, can you teach me this sort of stuff and all that sort of stuff. And everyone is impressed with her. Also, like, before they get started, Kasumi's like, all right, we got to give you a nickname so we don't have to be so formal with each other. You are now Shioko, because you're salty, and that's how I think of you. I think I calls her like Shioti.
Salty girl is valid.
It's very valid. But yeah, they just want to make it so like, there's not this like big like, oh, we've got to be very formal with each other. It's like, no, we're club mates now. All that sort of stuff. So she goes through the practice and everything. Everyone's very impressed with like her dancing skills. They're like, oh, have you danced and all that sort of stuff before? And she's like, yeah, I've done like traditional Japanese dance and everything. So like I'm kind of used to this sort of stuff and everything. And then like she also kind of like starts to turn a bit, and she's like yeah, like I could do this sort of stuff, but like I understand like how much it means, or like how much work it goes into being a school idol and everything. So like I like what I'm doing is not that impressive in the grand scope of things. And everyone's like, wait a minute, what? You're letting on a little bit more than you think you are. And she's like, I've just I've studied this stuff before. I've kind of just heard it through the grapevine, stuff like that.
You got to know these kinds of things when you're president.
Yeah. She also like she kind of slips at first as well, like, oh, I had my older sister, she was just, she was just kind of like you, where she was like, she's a big supporter of idols and all this sort of stuff. So like that's kind of how I've also learned about this stuff. Is that like I don't have really a big interest in it, so it's I just heard about it through osmosis really. And then Yu's like goes to like, oh well, maybe I could talk to your sister and everything, and Shiriko's like, oh. I am you. Can you help me with this dance move real quick? I didn't really get it. So she tries to like sneak out of that conversation real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, you basically works with Shiriko. They negotiate with the other clubs. Where Yu's like going off and be like, okay, what do you guys want in terms of this introduction thing? Like what do you guys want? And then she's going to relay that back into Shiriko, and they're going to work together to try and come up with some kind of compromise for everyone to make it all hunky-dory. They eventually find out like, oh, if this thing goes off as planned, there's only going to be room for like one song. So we got to figure out who's going to do it. And they're all like, oh, let's have Ayumi do it. It's cool.
Yep.
Shiriko comes in, like finds her after school one day where like she's practicing by herself. And she's like, I don't understand why the rest of the club are like supporting you and all this. Like, shouldn't they be jealous and like wanting to have your spot and all this sort of stuff? And Ayumi was like, no, it's fine. Like, we're all in this together. Like, I'm going to be out there by myself, but like I will have the support of everyone on stage with me. Like, it's going to be fine. Like, I'm sure they would all love to be out there as well performing, but like, this is what we came to as the consensus. This is what we decided as a club and everything. Yay.
She's the one.
Shiriko also kind of tells her like, oh, I like, working with you guys and, doing the club activities, I've kind of come to a better understanding of like, why you were so adamant against the club being abolished and everything. Like I'm starting to understand like why the other clubs are, have been the way they were, why they've been, fighting against me and all this sort of stuff. And Ayumi was like, oh, does that mean you've changed your tune on idols? He's like, no. Definitely not. I don't know what you mean. Shiriko kind of also like breaks a bit of a wall down. It's like, yeah, I think just the, like, how people view me, like they just see me as like this nuisance to them and like someone who's just going to get in their way. And I'm just like, nah, I don't really like, some people might think that, but like I think there's more to you than you let on, and I think people can see that. Like I think you just need to have faith in what people think of you and not just immediately think, oh God, everyone's going to hate me because of the way I act and all that sort of stuff.
Man, if only it were that easy.
They eventually have another club meeting. It's like, I think they say it's like the 7th meeting between the student council and the clubs. Setsuna and Ayumi again representing the school idol club. They're both like real nervous, like, oh man, I don't know. This could still be very testy, but Yu's been working with her and the clubs, so I think everything's going to be okay. And like the meeting starts off kind of testy, where like Shiriko gives them like this new proposal, and she's like, all right, when you go out there and do your introductions, you can say whatever you want. You can propose your club in any sort of way you want. I'm okay with that. And they're like, all right, okay. And she's like, all right, but there's one thing I want you to make mention in your presentation, is that if there is any person who has a better like who has more promise in another club, they will be kind of pushed in that direction to go to that club instead of the club they're in. And they're like, well, this is exactly what we don't want to do. We're basically back at square one. But eventually, like, Shiriko kind of talks them down and be like, no, let's look at it like this. Like, this is what I want. But eventually, like, this is going to work out for all of us. We're not necessarily forcing you to do this, or like forcing people into other clubs. We're just going to be like, hey, maybe this other club will benefit you more down in the long run. And if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. However, you are going to introduce your club in a way that is befitting to you and how you want to do it. So it'll help you get more members the next year and everything, but we're just going to have the suggestion out there, and that's it. And everyone kind of feels okay about it. They come to this compromise, and everything is moving forward to the school tour type dealio.
Yay!
The
open house type thing.
Yeah, that thing. You hangs out or meets up with Shiriko afterwards, and she's like, "Hey, do you want to come by and practice? Watch us practice, or hang out with us?" And Shiriko is like, "No, I've got a bunch of work. I got a bunch of paperwork. But if I have time, if I finish up early, I'll stop by."
Yay! We are breaking that shell.
Her walls are falling
very slowly, but they're coming down.
Very slowly. Chapter 14.
She's got to be a little tsundere towards the school idols with her little tooth.
Her little fang.
I love her fang. I think it's so cute.
It's a family trait, having a fang.
Yay.
So chapter 14, Ayumi's performance is coming up. Her and you keep getting ready for it. Shiriko shows up one day after school again, and it's like, "Oh, you guys got to go home. Like, I thought someone left the light on when I was here. It's you guys. What are you doing?"
It's you guys.
And they're like, "Oh, we're just, we're making sure everything's right for tomorrow and everything." And she's like, "Oh, it's fine. All right. By the way, do you want to join the student council?" Like, you would very much benefit me. And you was like, "Nah. I like school idols. That's what I want to focus on. I can't really juggle two things at once." And then Shiriko's like, "Well, what if you just gave me some assistance here and there?" And he was like, "Yeah, I could probably pull that off. That seems fine." Okay. Ayumu basically begs Shiriko to be like, "Oh, let me practice one more time. Shiriko's like, "Fine, go ahead." While that's happening, Shiriko talks to you, and she's like, "I understand everyone else that you got into the club and everything, but I heard that Ayumi was the first person you invited, but she doesn't really seem like the idol type. She doesn't really have one thing she excels at or anything. She's kind of just there. She's not the most suited to being an idol. Why did you pick her first?" And he was like, we've been friends for everything, and I've always wanted to kind of do something with her and that sort of thing. But also I see this potential in her.
She's the diamond in the rough.
And that no one else sees. So I think eventually she's going to get to a spot where we'll be able to tell oh, this is what she was supposed to do. And Shiriko's also I can kind of see that. I can kind of understand where you're coming from for that. I get what you mean.
True.
True dat.
True dat.
The open house happens. Aqua and Muse also show up. They canvass the place to be like, "Hey, School Idol Festival, come to it." Also, hello. Ayumu she does her performances. It's a big success.
Yay.
There's people talking about "Oh, the idol club seems real cool." After the event, you goes up to Shiriko and's like, "Oh, good job. We got the event went off without a hitch and everything." She's like, "Yeah, it's real good." And she's like, "Hey, do you want to join the idol club?" Shiriko's like, I appreciate the offer, but I don't think I'm set up for the idol stuff. That's just not me." And you're just like, "Oh man." But then the rest of the group are like, "Ah, she rebuked you, huh?"
She's like, "I shot my shot."
You gotta shoot your shots sometimes.
Sometimes you gotta shoot a shot. And I mean, this isn't a completely missed shot.
Yeah.
It's just a temporarily halted shot.
True that. They have a little after party and then use what if we held the festival here? We have all the kind of the accommodations for it. The auditorium is big enough.
School's freaking huge.
This would work, right? Let's do it. So you ask Shiriko about holding it at Niji. Shiriko's kind of hesitant at first and is like, "I don't think you guys understand the scope of running a festival."
It big.
You're just like, "Yeah, let's do it." You don't have a plan or anything. You don't have any ideas of management of what your goals are, how you're going to do this, and this. I don't think you understand how much work you still have to do. So they're like, "Okay, well, let's get everyone back together. let's get Aqua and Muse on the horn and come up with like
On the horn.
a new strategy and plan to everything. They go out and talk to a bunch of all the clubs and everything. They'll be like, hey, would you be okay if we had this event and that, like, utilize maybe some of your club space and all that sort of stuff for a day? They get like 90% approval from all the clubs, and like some of the clubs are also like, hey, we could also like help you out and like doing certain things like, construction or like, food vending and all that sort of stuff.
Volunteering.
Yeah, exactly. So Shiriko is like, okay, like this is basically what I asked you to do. Like, you did the thing. The other thing is, though, like, if you're going to run a festival of this size, you're going to need a lot of volunteers. So you have to find 1,000 volunteers to help you with this festival. This is my ultimatum to you. If you can do that, great. We'll do the festival here. If not, you have to give up on this plan to run this festival.
It's dead.
It is dead. D-E-D dead. They're like, they some of them kind of hesitate and use it's like, all right, I guess that's our thing. We're gonna do it.
You say that's what it takes. We're gonna do it.
Yep. Afterwards, Ayumu goes and talks to Shiriko, and Shiriko, basically Ayumu is kind of like, I've seen like whenever we talk about the festival and everything, you seem very like hurt about it, like there's like this pain in your face whenever it gets brought up. And Shiriko like almost kind of goes into like, yeah, like my sister was kind of broken by this festival. I mean, I don't really like school idols, that's why. I'm doing a very good job of hiding this.
Yeah, super good job.
Ayumi basically is like, like, hey, I get it, you have some stuff you have to deal with, like, but we're here to help you if you need help trying to figure things out with all this sort of stuff. Shiriko again reiterates like, hey, this is going to be very difficult. Like, you can't think this is going to be like an easy thing you're going to be able to pull off and just instantly. Ayumi again is like, hey, if you need help with anything, but Shiriko's like, no, I gotta go. Or Ayumi, you gotta go. Get out of here. Not like that, but Ayumi eventually leaves. And then Shiriko kind of monologues to herself in the office where she's like, I don't really know, why am I so upset by this festival happening? Why am I trying so hard to like not make it happen?
How
like,
do I feel about the
what's
school
going
idols?
on?
Nice. Ah.
And then chapter 15 is basically chapter 15 and 16 is all about finding volunteers. So they make a recruitment website in order to kind of help get people to sign up to be a volunteer and everything. Responses come in very quick. There's a lot of excited people who are like wanting to volunteer, so they get to their goal of 1,000 very quickly.
It's like within the day.
Yeah, so they go off and tell Shiriko like, hey, we got 1,000 volunteers, and Shiriko's like, good job, but also I'll believe it when I see it, essentially. Later on, Ayumu like at night calls up Shiriko, and Shiriko's like, are you calling me about practice stuff? Like I've told you before, I can't really help you in terms of like practice scheduling and everything because I don't really know that sort of stuff. And Ayumu's like, no, it's fine, it's not about that. She eventually tells her like, oh, I want to get you a gift because like I want to show like our appreciation for her and everything. And Shiriko's like, okay, I'll go with you. We'll find something together and figure this out. So they go shopping the next day, and they're trying to find something. And Ayumi's like, what would you think is a good gift? And Shiriko's like, what about like a basket of towels? Maybe like a fruit basket of juice. And Ayumi's like, I don't know if that's going to really be a good idea. And then Shiriko's like, well, what would be like, what's an item that she usually has with her? Like, what's one of her favorite things that she has? And Ayumi's like, oh, her notebook. Like, I noticed her notebook's been getting full. Why don't we get her like a new notebook? And that's what they do. Meanwhile, everyone gets prepared for this big information session with the volunteers. They're going to kind of go over like all the stuff they want the volunteers to do. And they're like, oh, we got 1,000 packets for everyone. We're going to set them up in the auditorium. Yay!
This is going to be awesome.
But about that.
Yeah.
They get less than 100 people to show up of the 1,000 people who
registered,
committed, let's say.
Yeah.
And everyone's real bummed about it.
I mean, that's valid.
Oh, totally. I think at one point Shiriko kind of comes up to him and is like, this is why I was worried about this, because this is the kind of thing that happens when, you have these sorts of things. Like, people will be excited to volunteer until they have to go do it, and then
until
they'll
the
find
commitment's there.
Until they'll find some excuse to get out of it, essentially.
Yep.
Yu takes this very hard.
Yes.
She has like this flashback where she sees like, all the work they put in. She's like, I can't let everyone's dream go to waste. I can't let this happen to everyone. Like, I have to fix this myself. And she starts getting like very tunnel vision in this idea that she has, starts missing club activities and everything. IMU gets worried because like they haven't talked much since like the information session. She eventually goes over and tries to talk to her at home, and Yu's just like, yeah, I'm trying to call everyone to see like why they didn't show up, why they didn't want to volunteer and everything. This is what I have to do. I can't rely on you guys anymore. Like, this is just what I have to do. This is my duty.
She takes it as a personal failure, basically.
She took it personally.
Oh my god.
But yeah, basically she just starts spiraling out of control.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone keeps getting more and more worried about her because she keeps missing practice and everything. Eventually, Shiriko like spots IMU, who's like just looking very distraught, and she's like, "Hey, what's going on?"
This is a drama chapter.
Oh, yeah, this is a 2 drama-filled chapters.
Yup.
IMU basically is like, yeah, like, Yu hasn't been showing up to the club and everything. She's just been very devoted to this idea that she has to fix everything regarding the volunteers and everything. And like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm just real worried about her. Like, I'm worried that she's going to like, do something bad, or like her health is going to deteriorate because she's not going to pay attention to it or anything like that. Shiriko's like, all right, well, what if we set up this meeting between you two? Like, I'll invite both of you, or I'll get her and I'll invite her, and we'll set it up so you meet each other. You give her the gift. Hopefully that snaps her out of her senses and everything will be fine.
It's worth noting that like the front page of the notebook has like messages from all the members of the club.
Yes, correct.
It's not just like a blank notebook.
No, yeah, you're right. Honoka and Shika also have like there's a big another meeting with everyone where they kind of discuss what's happening, and those two come up with the idea of like, DG should be the ones that open up the festival.
Yeah.
Because like it's your home turf and everything, but also like, we think you guys should be the ones that open it up. And they're like, the rest of the girls are like, that's real cool, but like, oh my god, we don't have a president and everything. Everything's kind of like real bad right now. Oh boy.
More pressure. Yay.
And then we get the final part of the chapter where Shiriko arranges the meeting between you and IMU.
Oof.
So they both show up. Yu shows up, or gets Shiriko, and Shiriko's like, hey, come with me. I got someone who wants to talk to you. So IMU basically kind of like talks about what she's been feeling, and she's like, I'm frustrated because like, you've been very focused on fixing this festival and everything, but like,
you don't got to do this alone.
You don't have to do everything by yourself. Like, you can rely on everyone else. Like, this isn't just your fault. Like, we all could have done something else and everything. And like, essentially, yeah, that's kind of her main point. You basically retorts like, oh, saying the same thing. Like, I don't want everyone's dream to go to waste. Like, I don't want everyone's like hard work to just be for nothing. IMU's like, I want my friend to come back. Like, I miss seeing you around. Like, everyone else is missing you in the club. We're all worried about you.
Come back, friend.
We just want you to come back. And then you gets a phone call from a volunteer. He's like, oh, this is someone. I gotta take this real quick. And IMU's like, no, wait. I want to give you this gift. I want to give you this gift from everyone. It's got all this cool stuff in it. And he's like, no, I have to take this call. I have to take this call right now. And eventually it goes to voicemail and everything, as IMU keeps trying to give the gift. And then you like gets frustrated. He's like, now I got to go call this person back. Why am I wasting my time doing this? And like basically inadvertently knocks the present out of IMU's hand. And then IMU's just like, all right. I guess I just don't understand who you are anymore. I don't understand what you're doing. Like, the reason I became an idol is because I wanted to, do this with you. I wanted to hang out with you. I wanted you to help me become better at this and everything. And now that you're not there, like, why am I doing it?
I'm done.
What's the point? And then she like walks off, and then Yu's just like, why would she get mad like that? What is her problem? Like, I don't understand. And Shiriko's like, you realize the reason she's upset is because of you.
Good job, buddy.
You pushed her to this point, and you just like, oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh. So then we get chapter 16, which is basically more of the continuation of all this that's going down. The big drama llama.
Man, that art of Ayumu, her like running away crying was really sad. Anyway, chapter 16, things happen.
You eventually comes back to the club. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're back.
You're back!
But Ayumi's not here. She's not showing up anymore. And the rest of them are also like, you, look.
Basically
Stop taking
the same thing she
essentially.
did.
Stop taking things on yourself. Rely on us more. That's why we're here. You don't have to do everything by yourself.
You've got a whole dang club.
You have a whole crew with you. And then you kind of takes that more to heart this time because, you know, after everything's happened, Ayumi eventually starts skipping school. And then
becomes a delinquent.
She becomes a delinquent. Shiriko basically calls her up and is like, hey, let's go do something. We got to get your mind back straight. And Ayumi is just like, oh, you know, everything's fine. Like, I have more time to do hobbies now that I'm not going to be an idol. Like, I can do knitting or
make bread.
Whatever I want to do. I have all the time in the world now. Like, it's fine. Everything's going to be okay. And Chiriko's like,
is it though?
I don't believe you. The rest of the club come back together. They're trying to figure out a new strategy to find volunteers for the event. And then, like, they start calling up people doing kind of the same thing that you was doing. And eventually, they all kind of come to this conclusion that, like, the reason people are not responding to us is because that, you know, we just seem desperate. And, like, you know, we're just like, oh, please come back. Please come be a volunteer for us. And we're not, like, showing them, like, why they should be a volunteer. Why would you want to come to this? Why would you want to come to this cool event that we're hosting? It's more just like, please come. Please do this work for us. We really need this. We need this to make this event successful, not just like, oh, come to this fun event. You're going to have a great time. You're going to see all this fun stuff. You're going to get to work together with us and be a part of such like an immense and incredible experience. So they eventually find that out and they're like, oh, crap.
We made it seem like work.
Crap.
We done goofed.
And in that same mindset, they also kind of is like, maybe this is too much. Maybe we can't do this. Maybe we should just throw in the towel.
They're also very quickly coming up on a deadline, so they're like, we don't have enough time to like fix the strategy.
Yeah. You like hangs out in the club room by herself and refines the present from Ayumu, and she opens it up finally, and she sees like all the messages from everyone, and you know, finally kind of understands like what Ayumi was really trying to tell her in that meeting and everything.
Has an oh crap moment.
Yeah. Ayumi was trying to do new hobby stuff, like whatever she wants, and basically every time she does it, she keeps thinking about like idol stuff and like realizes like, oh, well, none of these new hobbies are really satiating me like being an idol was. She eventually gets onto like the festival website and sees a bunch of people like kind of talking crap about you and being like, oh, she kept calling me and doing want to be a volunteer and like, oh, I don't want to do that. But
she's not a school idol, so she wouldn't get it.
Yeah, exactly. And Ayumi's like, you don't know, you don't understand, you don't know her. Why are you saying this? Like, that's not true. Like, screw you.
Absolutely fight me.
Exactly. Eventually, Shiriko talks to Ayumu and tells her like, hey, the rest of the club threw in the towel. They're done. They're not going to get more volunteers. And then Ayumu gets upset and frustrated because like she still doesn't want everyone's dream to get left down. Essentially, kind of like what you said. Mm-hmm. And then Shiriko's like, what if I got an idea. What if we make a video? We'll stream it out, and you tell everyone what it means to be an idol, what this festival means to you, what you means to you. Just let all your feelings out. We'll put it out on the internet, and maybe that will be the impetus that will show people exactly what this festival's about, what this means to everyone, and what are the feelings you want to convey to everyone. So they do this thing. They put her in the auditorium. She gives this impassioned speech about how much this event means to her, why they want to do all the work they've been putting into it for, why you's so important to the girls of Nijigasaki and everything. And then like you watches it or like ends up seeing it.
Yeah, somebody calls and is like, "Hey, Ayumi's going viral right now."
Yeah,
I
she
forget
sees
who
it
called though.
and then eventually runs off and goes to the auditorium. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry."
I
They
love
both,
you. I love school idols.
yeah, they both just like vehemently apologize to each other, all while the stream's still going. The rest of the club also shows up, and they all just kind of like make up with each other and reaffirm their idea. They're like, "Oh, we want to make this festival a success and everything." And then IMU eventually kind of closes it off and be like, "Oh, thanks for watching. I'm sorry, it got kind of hectic.
It got a
This
little
is
weird.
this is why we want to do the festival. Thank you. Bye."
It's really funny.
The next day, Yu goes up to Chiriko and apologizes to her because of everything that went down. Chiriko's like, I mean, you really didn't need to apologize to me, but, you know, hey, if things go bad again, like, you can come to me. We can talk about it. You know, I'll be here for you.
You were
We'll figure
there
this
for
out.
me. I'll be there for you.
Yep. IMU comes in while they're talking, and she's like, what are you guys talking about? And they're like, oh, you. Don't talk about embarrassing things about me. And
You're like, oh
Chiriko...
no, we mean you. Why
Chiriko... Yes. God. Chiriko poignantly mentions that she's jealous of you for having such a wonderful childhood friend.
Dun dun dun.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Dun dun.
They invite Chiriko to come hang out with them because they're going to have a little party because they finally got 1,000 volunteers again. And
Real volunteers this time.
yes, Chiriko's like, hey, I can't right now, but, you know, if I finish up my work again and again, I'll stop by. I'll hang out with y'all. And Chiriko, like, they leave, and Chiriko, like, you know, looks out the window and is like, you know, everything's the way it should be. The school idol club that I love is back. And they've made their dreams into a reality.
She loves them.
And then Aqua and Muse also show up and they party. Because they're like, hey, 1,000 volunteers, woo.
Woo.
Let's drink juice.
Woo. I like juice.
And then we get to the season finale, chapter 17.
Da-ba-bum. The biggin.
The biggin. So we have this like big hangout on the roof the night before. Like basically kind of like everyone just eventually just kind of ends up on the roof. And they didn't mean to, but like everyone just does. So like, and also Shioriko's there because IMU was with Shioriko. And they all kind of talk about their feelings going into the festival tomorrow, not to like oversleep or anything. And to like get enough rest and everything. Kasumi tells Shioriko she's part of the gang now, so...
How nice.
One of them. You and Shioriko both get texts at the same time. And Yu's like, oh, Kaoruko texted me. She said she's going to come to the festival tomorrow. Shioriko does not mention her text, obviously. And then we get to the day of the festival. Everyone's getting ready backstage in the dressing room. Nijisaki is going to open up the show. They're a little bit nervous, but then, you know, the rest of the girls try and, like, you know, get them out of their nerves and everything. Nico makes all the first years do Nico knees, which is great.
Nico knee.
They're like, just like, do it.
Do it now.
They're like, yeah, yes, we'll do it.
Nico knee.
But, like, it does kind of help them unwind a little bit.
Yep.
Yu goes out to the crowd just to see what's going on, and it's, like, jam-packed, standing room only, super no vacancy. In the middle of this, she runs into Kaoruko. And she's like, oh, congratulations, you know, you managed to bring the festival back. I think it's really cool. By the way, like, I wanted to talk to your student council president. Do you know, like, if I go to the president, the office, would I find them there? And he was like, oh, we actually changed student council presidents recently. The new one's Shioriko Mifune. Like, is that who you're talking about?
For?
And she's like, yeah, that's exactly who I'm talking about. And he was like, oh, do you know her? And Kaoruko's like, oh, I guess she didn't tell you. Well, okay, I'll keep it. I'll keep my mouth shut for now. But yeah, I'll find her. Thanks for talking to me. After that, Yu meets up with Shioriko. They go out to watch Niji open up, and Yu's like, hey, I met with Kaoruko, and she said she knew you. Like, how do you know her? But then, like, immediately the show starts. So, like, again, Shioriko is out of having to explain things.
Yay.
In the meantime, they have like all these little like side activities where like they have like these little side stages where these events are going on, where it's like these competitions between all the idols. There's one where like Kanata and Nozomi have to like make each other like
basically react.
Yeah, so they have to do a reaction or something. So like Nozomi cooked up this idea of like having Haruka, her sister, be like, "Oh, I hate you, Kanata," and Kanata's like, "What?
What did I do?
And then Kanata gave Nozomi this big letter of like that the rest of the Muse wrote to her about like what she means to them and all that sort of stuff, and basically the whole thing ends in a draw.
It's a tie.
It's a reaction draw.
Ba-ba-bum.
Aqua go out and they have a big performance, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, Aqua is so cool! They're so good."
Fact.
It's true. There's more like side events. Like there's like an idol club or like an idol quiz show, which of course there is.
Yep.
There's this one where they have like various idols talk about how much they love idols. So it's like Chika, I think Nico, Hanayo, and then like a couple
Ruby's
others.
there.
Yeah, and Ruby's there.
Because she says Daya.
And then like it was like, all right, here's the director in the voice booth for this specific scene. Anju, we need you to tell us how much you love Muse. I know this is going to be very difficult for you.
Anju's like, my time has come.
I don't need to read the script here. I got this.
Nope. We don't need this script.
Throw it out the window.
Just, I got this.
I got this. That was real fun.
It was real fun.
So they do a bunch of more side stuff like that.
They get
Eventually,
to have snacks at one point.
they have like a big lunch because they all just like they get like a bunch of the food stall stuff, and it's like, oh my god, there's so much food.
Nice.
Setsuna and Chiriko eventually are helping out some folks, and Chiriko's like, you don't have to help me. You have like stuff to do. You have like performances to do. Oh my god, why are you helping me? And Setsuna's like, it's fine. I wanted to help you out for a while now. I wanted to talk to you about like how I'm grateful for what you did, and by yanking the presidency away from me and showing me like I should probably be doing this idol stuff full time instead. Like that's what I should be doing. And she was like, "You're giving me way too much credit. Also, oh my god, you have to go now. You have a performance right now. Go." And Setsuna like, "Oh crap, I do. Gotta go." And then Chiriko's in like the courtyard, and Kaoruko finally shows up and's like, "Oh hey, what's going on? You been avoiding your big sister?"
What up, sis?
Yeah. And Chiriko's like, what are you doing here? And she's like, I texted you yesterday and told you I was coming, and you didn't respond. But also, I'm very surprised at you. You're helping out with the Idol Festival, but you were the one who was all, I hate school idols. And that's because you thought like, being an idol ruined me ascending the throne in the family, right? Like you thought that was the reason for this and everything, which maybe not necessarily true. Chiriko also like, yeah, I kind of maybe embellished that a bit to focus my mind on like, you got to think logically about things. You can't let your passion drive you, or else you're going to end up like my sister did. Kaoruko also like is very humored by the idea that Chiriko is supporting idols, and like tells her like, oh, that part of you hasn't really changed since the older days. And then Kaoruko basically is like gives her this gentle push that she needs. Like, I think the real thing that you need to figure out is that you want to be up there on stage with them. You don't want to be someone who's like, supporting them in this kind of bureaucratic role. Like, you want to be an idol, but you keep telling yourself, oh, I can't do it. I'm not suited for this. Like, I can't do it. And it's because like, you have this weird idea that like, oh, I'm unable to be an idol. And Chiriko's like, yeah, it's because like, the people who are in Aqua, who are in Muse, who are in the Jigasaki, they're very serious about this. They have this very firm belief of like what an idol is and how they want to be an idol. And Kaoruko's like, yeah, you're right. You're totally right. That is something that if you're going to be an idol of that nature, like you have to have that sort of firm belief. But also like, if you are this strong-willed about like understanding what that means, you're probably also in that same mindset. You just haven't figured it out yourself yet.
Yeah. You're not completely being honest with yourself here.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, and basically they go their separate ways, but she's like, hey, think back of what idols have taught you in the past, what they've been teaching you now.
Think about it, kid.
And I think that's going to lead you to your decision. So after that, everything finishes up. They're getting ready for the closing ceremonies, and then Chiriko busts through the dressing room like, oh my god, we have a problem. And they're like, what? Everyone's just chanting for an encore. I don't know what to do. Oh god. What do we do? What do we do? And then like I think Nozomi's like, oh, we should just do Tokameki runners. That seems like the easy thing to do. Let's go out there and give them a show. Everyone's like, yeah, let's go do it. And Ayumi's like, yeah, cool. Hang on. Shiriko, come join us on stage. Come perform with us.
You know
And
this
Shiriko's like,
song.
what do you mean? I can't. I don't want to. I'm not good enough to be an idol. I can't. And everyone's like, yo, you did the practices with us. You know the routine. You'll be fine.
Come be an idol with us.
Come do it. And everyone's like, join us. Join us.
One of us. One of us.
And then eventually Shiriko kind of like, you know what? Yeah.
Let's do this.
I want to go on that stage with you. I want to perform with you guys. And he's like, she Birdman gifts.
Basically, yeah.
That leads you to the big 10-man version of Tokimeki Runners, even though it's like technically a 28-person version of Tokimeki Runners in context of the narrative.
Yeah.
They cannot animate 28 people on stage in the game, probably.
No.
That's a lot. That's going to be very taxing.
I was like, God, that song's hard.
Yes. So after that, they basically have an after party with everyone. It's basically like the Niji girls by themselves at this point.
Yeah.
They're all celebrating everything that happened. They talk about how Shiriko gave this very impassioned speech to everyone beforehand, and how like it fired them up and everything. And we also get a reveal that Yu's going away for 2 months. She's going
this came out of nowhere.
Yeah, she's going on an overseas excursion for her music course. So she's doing that for 2 months, and everyone's real bummed about it. Especially Ayumi's like extremely bummed.
Yeah.
But the other girls are like, all right, well, I'm gonna work hard and while you're gone, you know, you're gonna come back and be like, oh my god, this is amazing. And Shiriko basically also makes her mention like, oh yeah, I'm going to work hard as an idol too while you're gone. Basically, you know, showing that hey, I'm going to be a part of the club while you're away. The end scene is you and Ayumi are back home. Ayumi apologizes for being emotional, and Yu's like, it's fine. But then gives her like these words of encouragement of being like, oh, you're gonna do great. You know, you're gonna learn all sorts of things, and you're gonna come back, and you're gonna be even better than ever. And they basically kind of give each other those kinds of words of encouragement, and that's how we end season 1.
I really wish they had hinted at this before, that like Yu was going to have to go away for 2 months. Because like when this scene happened, I was just like, what?
Yeah, it's kind of like out of nowhere. It's like, wait, hang on, what? Excuse
like
me?
They haven't hinted at this. They haven't mentioned it. They didn't say like, oh, hey, maybe we should schedule a school idol festival before this because I'll have to go away for 2 months. Like that would have been a good way to contextualize it.
Mm-hmm.
But instead it's just like, oh, by the way, I gotta go. And I'm like, what?
By the way, I'm leaving. Bye.
Bye.
I think it also like, it's a very chaotic way to end this season, but it also makes the season, what's going to happen in season 2, make more sense and why that becomes incredibly chaotic.
Yeah, I just really wish they had given like even a throwaway line.
I agree. It is very much just like, by the way, I'm gone. Bye.
Bye.
In the very last part of this.
Bye.
It's very, very, just out of the blue.
Yeah.
That's
season 1.
That's season 1. What did you think of season 1 of All Stars?
I mean, I really liked it. We've had this discussion before. I did not expect to like Shiriko as much as I do.
Same. Like it's honestly very surprising how much the story is about her.
Yeah.
Like how much this is her story.
Yeah. She's a really, really well-written character, and she's a fun character.
She certainly gets like the most character development out of anyone.
Yeah. It was great to like get to hang out with these girls, get to see what was going on. It's interesting to see kind of like Aqua and Muse take a back seat.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wasn't fully expecting that, but I was like, okay, this is letting Niji like get their wings under them, and that's a good thing.
Totally.
There's so much drama. It was stressful.
It's Love Live for you.
Yep. I mean, that's what it feels like. A season of the anime, like that is legit. What it feels like is like this would be one anime season.
Mm-hmm.
Except for hopefully with better contextualization of them leaving at the end.
Yeah.
But like, the drama's there, the buildup is there, getting the team together is there, having the big event that they've gotta get to, the initial like failure is there. even though there's actually several failures in season 1 of this.
It hits all the beats you'd want.
It does. But it doesn't necessarily feel like it's just like retreading old ground either.
Yeah. I think this is kind of going to be a little bit off topic, but I think the way All Stars handles its story has made the Nietzsche anime feel weirder.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's not a one-to-one retelling of the All Star story, and I think there's the way they have handled the story of that anime is not necessarily hit the same marks as previous iterations, or even like the All Star story.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, we'll eventually talk more about that. We were talking about it obviously on Jared and I Watch every week, but that series is still ongoing, so there's still time to do other stuff with it. But it's kind of
We're running out of time.
We're running out of time, and like if you were to look at this series of Niji by itself right now, like it would be hard to not call it a disappointment compared to like the All Star story and everything else. Like
yeah, because it's been really fun.
Especially what I was thinking of what the anime was going to be going into it. Which maybe that's just my fault for thinking like, oh, they're just going to retell the All Star story or like just do something very similar to it.
Right.
Because I have thoroughly enjoyed the All Star story.
Yeah, it's been really fun.
In a way that I really wasn't expecting. Because like you said, like it definitely hits a lot of the same beats that the anime does, and like similar tropes and everything. But like it's just good storytelling throughout. Like it takes a little bit to get going. I think chapters 1 through 7 is very much, hey, we got to get these key characters established. The couple chapters after that are also kind of just like, stuff happens. But then like once you get into the latter half of season 1, like it is bang, 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 bang in terms of like here's drama, here is character development, here is character growth and story and all this sort of stuff, and all just like everything wraps up in a relatively neatly way to where you feel very satisfied coming out of it. Which I think also makes me, all the more curious for when we get to season 2, which, if you're unaware of the Japanese development of how their story's going, so season 1 is over.
Yep.
Obviously. There's going to be chapters 18, 19 are 18, 19, 20? Maybe 3 chapters are like a sub-story, essentially. It's like an intermission story, I believe is how they essentially describe it. And then after that, season 2 starts off, and season 2 starts off wild.
Yeah, it's caused a lot of controversy. Controversy.
But I think like how we've seen how season 1 is wrapped up, like it makes a lot of sense why season 2 has gone in like the very chaotic way it has because of you not being there.
They don't have the glue man.
They don't have their glue guy.
Yeah.
So like that's why everything's so just like wild and chaotic without spoiling things and everything. Because also we will be introduced to a couple new characters who will be very influential in what happens in season 2. They get introduced at the end of the last intermission in between season 1 and season 2. But yeah, like I'm very like I think if you had just had season 1 as like its own thing, like I think that would be a very satisfying story.
Yeah.
But considering that they're going forward with more stuff, like I'm very interested to see what they're going to do next.
Yeah, same.
Because from what we've seen so far, like there's a lot of interesting ideas of where they're going to go with it, especially because like I mean this is a very slight spoiler, but like I feel like this is the first time we've seen like an actual villain character introduced in a Love Live series in season 2.
Yeah.
That's not just like a half-hearted attempt at it.
Correct.
Like even like Shioriko is kind of a half-hearted attempt at it, but this seems full more of being like, oh, this is like a legit villain.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. But yeah, we'll eventually talk about that. Like I don't know, sometime next year, whenever all of those come out.
Also on a side note, completely unrelated story, but Shioriko's song "Rules" is super hard, but like her song is actually a really good song.
Yeah.
Like I've listened to it several times just outside of the game because it's like, man, this song goes.
It's really good.
But God, it's hard. It makes me so sad.
It is not easy, as the kids say.
As the kids say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed season 1 very, very much, and it's definitely been a fun ride for me.
Absolutely, I could not agree more with you.
And it's gotten me very attached to these characters too.
Like I told you when we were doing one of the episodes of Jared Now Watch, like Shiriko is maybe my favorite Niji character.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Which is I would never have expected that going into this. Like from her introduction or anything, like I would not have pegged like, oh, I'm going to really enjoy this character arc and growth and everything.
Yeah.
But that's just how it ended. I was just like, it's really good. It's really good.
Really good.
But yeah, that's season 1 of School Idol Festival All-Stars. We will reconvene when season 2 comes out and also talk about the intermission at that point.
Yeah.
Where it gets very spooky.
Da-ba-bum.
Spooky times. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap this episode up. Unless you have anything else you want to say.
No. Can't think of anything.
Give us more URs. There you go.
Yeah, please give us more.
Put that in the universe.
Rikiko, please help us.
Please.
Please, we're dying here. Also, it's really unfair that like Japan's getting the Niji URs for free.
Yeah.
And we're not.
They also get the songs each week. They have the opening and ending. They get those bonus little like mini stories.
What?
Every day? Yeah, there's bonus little mini stories that they get every day of like little character interactions.
What?
Yeah.
Why don't we get these things?
I don't know. They decided not to translate them for whatever reason. I don't know if it's because like they think they'd be out of date because like I think some of them are specific for dates and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they'll wrap around and when that originally started in Japan, they'll just redo it over here but translated. But yeah, that's a big bummer.
Yeah, but
there's
the
a lot of
UR
things.
thing is a pretty big bummer.
That's also a big bummer.
Like the fact that they were giving out the initial Niji URs for free with the anime, like you'd think that would be a big pull to All Stars.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just like, screw you guys. You don't get anything. You get some candy and like a pool.
Or how the 9th anniversary shirts were free on.
Yeah.
Some of them were free on the Japanese side, and you had to pay a bunch of money to get them over here.
Yeah, we're getting screwed a lot in the global version.
You're not wrong.
Kind of unfair.
Yep.
Also, please just give us URs.
Let's give us more URs.
Please.
Also, make team building not suck.
Oh God, it sucks so bad. It's so hard.
But other than that, I think this is gonna so if you'd like more from us, go to seasonlanimecheckup.com or sac.cool is where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Season Anime Checkup and Jared Now Watch. You can also find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you'd like more from Anladium, go to anladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/animecheckup. Buy our books, One Shining Moment, a critical analysis of Love Life Sunshine and Hot Tubs and Pac-Man on Amazon.com. And you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/SACOVA. Buy us a slice of pizza, get access to bonus episodes, unedited versions of the podcast early, and fun stuff like that. Next week, it's time to look into the future.
Zura.
As we take a look at what's coming in 2021.
Oof. Well, now we have 3 more things to add to that list.
3 more things.
Yeah, tell me.
Oh, right. It's like, what are you talking about? So we'll talk about that and everything that's been delayed to 2021. Then I'll probably also do delayed to 2022 because the world sucks.
Yep.